Started in Adobe InDesign, we will select Create New on the left bar. This will open a new window. We'll want to select Print from the top bar. We can now choose to title our document. And reset the document size. We'll first want to make sure that the units is set to inches. And in this case, I'll set the width to 24 inches and the height to 18. It's good now to confirm that the orientation is in landscape view. This tends to be a little bit clearer in presentations. Usually the 4:3 ratio is helpful, but of course, it all comes down to your assignment requirements. For this tutorial, we won't need a book form and it's not a portfolio setup, so we can deselect facing pages. And just confirming that everything looks okay with the column gutter. We don't need to change anything with the margins for this. And the bleed is also okay. We won't be printing this document. This will just be used in PDF. If you were to be printing this document eventually, you will want to make sure that the bleeds are the correct size. If you are printing on campus, definitely look up the online tutorials for printing in various labs within Worcester and also confirming the bleed requirements for your document before finalizing this format. We can go ahead and select Create. After the document has opened, we'll scroll to the top of the screen to add our guidelines. These will help format the text and image frames. On the top bar, we'll select Layout and Create Guides. This pop-up box will ask us how many guides, and for the format shown at the beginning of the tutorial, we will add 2 column lines and 2 rows. The gutter size should also be adjusted to add a sort of a border or barrier around the grid line, and this will later be helpful when we're setting up our frames since we don't want them to be directly next to each other. So for this point, I'll change the gutter to 0.5 inches. We don't want to over clutter this board. And also at this point, it is okay to leave it at page. If you would like the guides fit to the margins, you may do so as well. And we don't need to remove the existing guides. If we were to be adding additional guides to what we have now later, if you choose to add more, then be sure to either deselect or select removing guidelines depending on what you're looking for. Select OK. Once these have been added, we will want to drag them into place. To do that, you can either select both lines or select one at a time if you are disregarding the gutter space. And now I'll just drag them up to the top of the screen, up here for our title. You can either make sure, looking at the number next to the mouths, to drag it into place. And if you would like to change that later, making sure they're still selected, you can go up to the Y-axis and change it exactly to that number you're looking for. It turns out I did not add enough grid lines here, so this is a good example to go back up to Layout, Create Guides, and we will add those additional guidelines here. Okay, so once we do have those grid lines in place, we'll just want to confirm that they are in the right location. At this point, I have left some space at the top of my page. This is where I'll put in the title of my document and also any group names or my own name if this is an individual project. At the bottom of the screen, I've also left some room to put in the course information, instructor name, but also the page numbers, depending on your formatting style. At this next step, we can also add our frames. Those will help us decide where we would like to put in text, images, and also those titles. So we can go to the left side bar, and there's an option to the rectangle frame tool. We'll select that tool, and you can click into your document at the desired starting point of your frame. Don't worry if it's not exact right now, because we will be able to go back and drag these around. But you can click into that corner and drag open that larger frame. Here I have set up this box, and I'll add another one here for another image. And just to the right where I would like my text added. At this point, we can also put in the title area and that other sidebar for any type of group name information or any course text you'd like to add up at the top. Feel free to get creative with how you would like to lay these out. A great feature of InDesign is the Pages tool. On the right side of our screen, we'll see the Pages option. If we click there, we'll see that we're currently working on this page that has a little A icon on it. The A master feature means that whatever we apply to an A master page, it will be applied to every single new page that we add. To change what this A master page looks like, we can double click on the right box next to A master. Currently, it will say none applied because this page is blank. If we were to add page numbers or our personal title or personal name, group names onto this page, we will see that repeated on every consecutive page that we add with this A master filter. To add new blank pages that do not have a page number or do not have those A master options, we can select none and drag a new page into the box below. This will add a new page that will not have any sort of page number formatting or previous text that we've used. If we would like to add the A master option to that original page we are working on, we can keep it as is. If we would like to also change it to a blank page, we can click and drag that blank page onto the page we are working on, and it will reformat it with no A master formatting on it. To add text to our document, we can select the text tool on the left-hand bar. After selecting the tool, if we would like to type into one of our existing boxes, we can simply double click into the box. If we desired to add another text box, we could keep that tool selected, scroll over to a new area to click and drag to create a text box. Another great tool within the InDesign program is using paragraph styles. If we wanted to share this document with teammates, we could create paragraph styles for everyone to have the same consistent visual language. By creating a new paragraph style, we can double select basic paragraph. This will give us the opportunity to change things such as hyphenation options. That's great if you don't want words to be cutting off. A lot of the Adobe programs tend to cut off words halfway through in a paragraph setting. Deselect hyphenate, but also change any sort of paragraph borders. If you want indents and spacing, colors of the text, bullets and numbering, all of these things can be set up and saved. So whenever someone opens the document, they can use that same paragraph style every time. Another great option is character styles. This is a good way to make sure that you're using the same font throughout the document. By selecting Create New Style and double clicking on Character Style 1, you can choose a font or a different setting that you would like to use throughout this entire document. There are a lot of font options already listed inside Adobe InDesign, but if you are seeking another font, you will be able to download those online and upload them into this program. This is also a good chance to make sure that you're using italicized font in some areas, bolded font, also keeping those colors consistent throughout the document. You can select OK. To add an image to our document, we'll select inside of an existing frame and then File and Place. Select the image you'd like to add, and it will automatically fit into that frame. To adjust that image that we just placed inside the frame, we can select the center wheel icon to pan the image around within that frame. This will allow us to adjust the exact area that we'd like to focus on. To resize this image without warping it, we can click on the outer brown corner and hold down the Shift key to resize the image into the frame. This will allow us to make sure that the image isn't being distorted, we aren't adjusting the original size of the image, and we're making sure that it fits into that designated space. If we were to right click on this image and see the option for fitting, and fitting the frame proportionately, that actually would squeeze the image down into that frame size, which would kind of defeat the purpose of us setting up these frames in the first place. A key thing to do when placing images is to go to the right side in our right bar and select links. As of right now, this image is not linked, which means that if you were to save and upload this file, the next person to download it would not be able to see these images because they are not embedded into the document. So we will want to click on this image, control click or right click, and select embed link to make sure that it's saved. Now that we have our images and text added to our document, making sure that all of those links are embedded, we can go ahead and export as our final step. So we can select File and Export. We'll want to make sure this one is as a PDF and save it into your desired folder. When we select Save, we'll get an assortment of options here. The most important is to be sure that our document is compressed so the right amount. If we do choose to compress it smaller than this, we might risk distorting our images or making it of lower resolution. But this is helpful if you're hoping to use this image or this document in a portfolio and you want to make sure that this entire board doesn't lose its current resolution. It will also be helpful if you're uploading this document to any sort of website or portal for online submissions that the image might be too large to upload. This is the place where you would like to downsize that image. As of right now, everything looks okay, as well as our marks and bleeds, since again, we are just uploading this as a PDF and not printing this document. So we can go ahead and select export. And that's all, we're ready to go.